In Your Loving Arms, a Cherrick Fanfiction. Chapter 1. Eric stood proudly by the entrance as if he had already won, but he knew that this war upon mutants and humans wasn't over. His eyes glared upon his friend and his friend's sister, where they exchanged loving remarks and kind words into each other's ears. Eric stared at both Charles and Raven, taking note of the times that he too was loved, the times when his mother would sing to him, making him go to sleep, the endless nights of sweet dreams turned into nightmares. Eric shook his head. He refuses to step foot into unwanted territory. Those memories were locked away, not seeing the living daylight ever again, and Eric kept it that way, forever lost in his mind for revenge and sorrow. Charles and Raven spoke softly, sharing every moment to say what they wanted. Their hearts intertwined with the feeling that they couldn't control, and it stayed that way. Beside Eric was Hank. He eyed Raven with his own, and the familiar smile was back on his face. Since the first time he had laid eyes on Raven, he knew that he was in love. Thinking a guy like him would have a chance to get with a girl like Raven. Minutes were wasted as Charles and Raven reunited, but Eric was impatient and resulted in an unlikely thought. While they were busy with their cozy reunion, Eric sealed his plan, and sooner or later, someone was going to pay the price. Eric! Eric! Charles and Raven stopped their chatter and looked directly in Eric's direction. What are you doing? Securing our future. Forgive me, Mystique. As long as you're out here, there, we'll never be safe. Eric, use your powers, Charles. Stop him, said Mystique, but her yellow eyes completely filled with confusion and rage. He can't, said Eric as the gun in his hand pulled the trigger, and after that, all hell broke loose. Hank tackled Eric to the ground, but his fingers already was speeding towards the blue mutant. The speeding bullet spiraled out of the barrel of the gun and headed towards Mystique. She sprinted out and out through the window. However, she wasn't free for long. Eric managed to free himself from Hank's grasp to manipulate the bullet, changing its direction back to its main target. Raven was out of the window. She would have landed well if it wasn't for that bloody bullet. Charles had his own problems he tried to stop trying to stop Eric was hard enough, even without his telepathy, but also trying to bring Logan back to his senses. Raven landed on his feet, but the bullet in her flesh was making it hard to stand. The pain from her leg was making it hard to walk, making her wish she had teleportation as her powers. But sadly, she had no choice in her mutation. Raven's heart blasted so fast that it may numb the pain for a while from her leg. Shocks and screams soon filled through the air as Raven was overcoming her dizziness. The pain in her leg was catching up to her. Her eyes blurred from the sunlight, unable to see the petrified looks of the Homo sapiens. Charles, on the other hand, was busy with his own problems, in which was one was to calm an extremely angered Logan, and that bloody son of a bitch, Eric Lencher, had escaped through the broken window made by his sister to overcome her. Hank had already chased after Eric, and without his telepathy, Charles knew nothing of what was going on down in the Paris streets below. Eric, what have you done? Charles thought, his mind the only one that in his brain, while everyone else was completely ejected. Eric was busy dealing with succeeding in killing Mystique himself that he didn't bother to check Hank closing in on him. After touching down, Raven was still on her feet, limping, yes, but still active. She limped away, far away as possible from Eric's path, but Eric was too ahead from Raven. The metal bullet was still lodged in her leg and was getting closer to danger. It wasn't going to be easy to avoid the humans and Eric. Stop, Eric! Eric, please! She pleaded, whilst on the ground, her leg now still hot with pain. Their surroundings were so loud it hurt her ears, each human around them screaming and running in all directions. Raven looked into Eric's eyes, empty. I'm sorry, he replied Eric. His arms outstretched, the bullet pulled back into his hand, ready for another attempt at the kill shot. Eric! Before he could aim at Raven, a growl grew behind Eric, and Beast tackled him to the ground. More screams as people fled the Paris Peace Summit, running away when they saw the fight ensued. Raven got away, transforming herself, blending in with the disruption of the crowds. Beast and Eric were on the ground, throwing fists after fists. Screamings were echoing, and Beast wasn't giving up. Eric had his advantage and went to reach his arm, reaching for some metal as weapons. Beast just blocked them, but was also hit once or twice, but his pain was as much as his anger. The solid rage he felt when the bullet hit Raven. Oh, how much he wanted to make Eric pay for, but he knew Charles. He'll never let him kill Eric. They fought until they reached the fountain, the central masterpiece of the location, and it was about to be a battlefield for two powerful mutants. Beast tackled Eric into the water, his furry hands gripping into Eric's jacket collar, and kept using his fist to attack Eric. Eric's head buried deep into the water, his legs thrashing and arms gripping into Beast to keep himself conscious. Breathing was proving to be difficult as Beast went forth into bashing his head onto the tile fountain floor. Beast smelled and saw the dilute of blood forming onto the surface of the water. Eric was still and not moving. His mouth quivered slightly, but that was all he could manage to do. He stayed under the water without movement. The metal brown beast was silent, and this worried him. Eric never stayed still, for he was active and alive, but this didn't look alive, more like... Beast didn't look at how still Eric got, but looked at his own surroundings. People ran away, but some people stared, looking beyond scared. Who are they? Who's that? Is that what they say are mutants? Beast thinking had turned back to being Hank. His fur disappearing and screams soon filled the air again. Hank was smart, but at times like this, that didn't help at all. And for one thing, it is for sure that Charles won't be happy. Hank tried to lift Eric with his own hands, but the older mutant was more heavy than he thought. Too heavy for him to lift, which caused concern with him and others. Come on, please. Come on. Why don't you move? God damn it, why don't you just move? Wake up! Hank grunted through his teeth, his skinny arms pulling as hard as he could to get the metal bender out of the water. Hank may not have forgiven Eric for what he had done, but he could not let him die. Not maybe, at least. French authorities were now clearing everyone out, their guns raised and increasing the opportunity to keep the peace in check. Hank noticed the group heading towards the direction. At the last attempt at pulling Eric out of the water, he knew it was hopeless case, where before they had time to aim their guns at the mutant, Hank became Beast again and sprinted off before danger came across his path. Pain lurked in the stomach as he left the scene, heading back to Charles and Logan. He knew he shouldn't have left Eric there, but it was his only option. Despite his anger towards him, it wasn't fair to leave him there. However, Hank didn't turn back, but kept on running and passing screaming crowds back to Charles, back to reality. End of chapter 1.